Arcanine, Silvally, and Cosmoem. If I were to ask you which one is a legendary Pokemon, what would you tell me? Because if you're anything like me, Arcanine would have been your answer. For over 25 years, Arcanine's been at the forefront of Pokemon that fit a weird realm of legendary lookalikes that it's honestly just insulting to not give this fuzzy little friend the legend status. So, as a kicker to this new series on the channel, we've got to ask this question. What if Arcanine was a legendary Pokemon? On the surface, this may seem like an arbitrary question. What is a legendary Pokemon anyway? Well, Game Freak has never really even given us a clear-cut definition, so we need to go by trends and precedents that have been set for existing legends in order to create a classification group for these creatures. Almost every existing legendary share commonalities between each other, which include a higher than average base stat total, a limited number of species in question, 2 different abilities, an inability to breed due to having no gender, and a special location where they can be found in-game. Long, I know, but Arcanine actually fits none of these criteria. So this means we can increase its stats and drastically change the method for catching it, alongside some surprising additions that you guys might not be expecting towards the end of the video. More importantly though, any changes done today will be in the perspective of a modern day Fire Red Leaf Green remake, since Arcanine is a Kanto Pokemon after all. Anyway, I've already done enough yapping in this video, so to briefly start our changes, Growlithe will no longer be obtainable in the overworld. I'm instead giving it a similar treatment to the Cosmog line of Pokemon, where its first evolution is unique that requires an in-game event to capture. After beating the Elite Four, Champion, and catching all 3 regional birds, talk to Professor Oak and he will offer you a level 5 Growlithe, which can then evolve into Arcanine with a Firestone. It wouldn't make sense to have Growlithe as an overworld encounter in this scenario, so putting it behind some walls of difficulty is the next best option. And yes, don't worry, there will be a new way to encounter Arcanine individually as well. Also, when I was brainstorming this video, I literally did not even want to remove Growlithe in the first place. It's just too cute of a Pokemon to even consider that. The real substance with this new legendary comes with its base stat total, now that we have a distinguished legendary blueprint to work from. In respective to all other legends in Generation 1, their average base stat totals combined and divided together sit right at a middle ground of 604. Instead of making it on par with the trio of birds, who each individually share a total of 580, Arcanine's new stat total will be raised up to 600, lending us 45 points to distribute. Coming in hot with a heavy increase of 15 defense, this increase synergizes with an existing strategy when using its first ability Intimidate. Competitive trainers combine the Rocky Helmet item and Intimidate to neutralize physical opponents that threatens one team. And with access to Morning Sun as a move option, longevity against enemies is almost guaranteed when using Arcanine with skill in mind. With good defense also comes surprisingly great offenses as well, with 110 and 100 in attack and special attack respectively. Throwing 10 points into his attack only improves its pre-existing movesets that are used on its physical side, since Extreme Speed and Flare Blitz are staples for any Arcanine that is not special. An ability change I'm making later down the line will also be influenced by this attack increase, but that's something I'll show you guys in the latter half of the video. And to circle back on its special attack and speed, 5 and 15 points will be granted to bring these stats up to 105 and 110. Overall, these stat distributions were given for a few key reasons, one being to ensure statistical balance between our invested points. The more important ones, though, come within the realm of a battle itself. If you couldn't tell, its special defense was left alone to give Arcanine a weakness that enemy players can exploit. A speed stat of 110 also brings Arcanine well past the typical benchmark of 100 speed, lending it the functionality to get the jump on threats such as Iron Treads and Walking Weight. In Arcanine's lore and Pokedex entries too, it is stated to be fast enough to run over 6,200 miles in a given day and night. Alright, so with its stats out of the way, I'm purposely avoiding its abilities as the next topic, since we cannot forget about the single most influential factor for a Pokemon of this caliber, its in-game location. You see, legendary Pokemon have secretive, almost obscure locations to catch them at. I mean, just look at some of the steps and areas for getting the Reggie trio in white and black too. With Arcanine being native to Kanto, I'm using some of the new areas included in Fire Red and Leaf Green to create its new encounter scheme. In order for a trainer to catch this majestic dog, they first must defeat the Elite Four and Champion, beating the main storyline quest. Doing so will grant access to finding Arcanine at 3 different island locations around Kanto. Just let me further explain. On Mondays and Tuesdays, Arcanine can be found in any grass tiles of Mount Ember. On Wednesdays and Thursdays, this location is changed to the Memorial Pillar grasses, while Friday, Saturday, and Sunday get its location changed to the grass at the Pattern Bush. With a 10% encounter rate no matter the location, dividing Arcanine up into these areas give players more of an incentive to explore the region while playing into Arcanine's speedy nature. And to add a fun twist, players will need to have a Pokemon in their party with a base speed stat of at least 105 in order to encounter Arcanine. The logic behind this is pretty simple too. A Pokemon who is famous for its incredible speed should require a trainer with a fast Pokemon themselves to encounter NC, where various choices to pick include Dugtrio and Alakazam. Arcanine's level will also be set at 70, matching the post-game Lugia and Ho-Oh that are available to players for consistency's sake. So, with Arcanine's new encounter plan completed, I will finally circle back to its aforementioned abilities. Since many current legendaries have one default and one hidden ability, it's only fair to give Arcanine the same treatment. I'm deciding to stick with my guts, no pun intended, and keep Intimidate as its first ability, scrapping the other two that follow it. Despite the many horrors that we've seen with Pokemon who run Intimidate, to me, removing this ability kills an essential defensive playstyle that players can take advantage of. And after all, this thing is a legendary. Who cares if it's a tad bit stronger than the rest of the region? Its design is literally meant for that. With the removal of Flash Fire and Justified, Arcanine's hidden ability slot has opened up for something new. Enter Internal Blaze, a custom ability which states if a Pokemon with this ability has at least 50% of its HP, Fire-type moves have their priority increased by +1. A first look at Internal Blaze may scream overpowered, and I wouldn't blame you, but we have to remember the trade-offs that Arcanine brings with this option. For one, Flare Blitz, its most commonly used Fire-type move, is a recoil attack, so using it recklessly can hurt yourself in the long run. Arcanine is also a pure fire type, meaning that stealth rock damage without heavy-duty boots can be a pain when not managing your HP well. A single Flare Blitz combined with damage from enemies puts Arcanine out of commission, so planning out your attacks and switch-ins must be accounted for when using Internal Blaze over Intimidate. The 50% HP baseline also comes within more of Arcanine's background. A fire that blazes inside of Arcanine is its main source of energy and power, so when the Pokemon is drained and weak, so should its ability. And alas, here we are, sitting at a majestic, new Pokemon to fit the legendary archetype. More importantly though is how you guys feel about these changes. What would you do in order to bring everyone's favorite dog into the legendary category? Let me know your thoughts below, and until next time, take care!